Colleen and Francis are online or no? Did they zoom in yet?
Oh, coming in. Joining.
Is Francis and Colleen online? Okay.
Telling and Arlene.
Francis said she was gonna join me.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I call the February Guam Board of Accountancy meeting to order. Before we begin, let's just, Dave, just reconfirm that, the meeting has been properly noticed. I can't really read it, but,
Yeah, it's on February 8th and February 13th, I think, were
Okay.
posted.
okay, the meeting's been properly noticed, and so we can move forward.
Yeah.
Present, in person are board members, Sean Phillips, Jenny Chu, and myself. Joining us, online are Taling Chagtano. Can you confirm?
I'm here. Hello.
Taling, thank you. And is Francis Quinto Baba online? Hi, Francis, are you there?
She's muted.
Oh, she's muted. Okay. So Francis, when you're ready, just confirm, present.
Present.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Okay. Okay, first item on the agenda will be the approval of last meeting's minutes. This was the January 18 minutes. Wasn't too long of a meeting.
Move to approve, subject to correction.
Second.
Second, okay. Yeah, I didn't notice anything, so that's fine. Thank you. So the minutes are approved. We'll move on to the next item, which is old business. Dave, you want to talk about the Guam Accountancy fund?
Yeah, the endowment fund, with what we have in the package here, the January 31st statement ended with a balance of 4.83 million. That's, most of that increase lately is the market increase. As usual, it continues to go up and down. As of February 13th, the mid-month summary that I pulled, we were up to 4.842 million. So we gained 12,000 in the 2 weeks just from the market fluctuation. But the 4.8 is after showing actual realized gains, long-term gains of 18,000, less 12,000 in fees that were taken for the quarter. So we're doing okay, hanging in there. The year-to-date performance is a third of a point. So kind of hard to argue with for 6 weeks.
Dave, you said realized gains? How did we realize the gains?
Yeah, if you run over to, I think it's on the last page of the statement, with the January statement.
Is that the 18,000?
18,489 under summary of gains. This last page is your realized gains and losses.
Okay, I see that.
So this is the investments they've actually disposed of, so.
So
That's
they
when they realize
disposed
the long-term
to
gain.
spend,
Yeah.
to pay for some things.
I'm not sure why.
Or to pay for their expenses.
Yeah.
Okay,
probably.
they sold some to pay
Pay
the
their
expenses
fees.
and they got some
But,
gains in the contract. Okay.
yeah, so far, since inception, I don't think we've ever, been forced, they've never been forced to sell anything at a loss, so. We've only had realized gains, which are, not a lot, but, anytime they've sold any investments, they've always wound up with a gain, so. And that's a function of, not being pressured to sell anything when the value's down.
Okay.
Just like real estate, if you can afford it, you don't want to sell when you don't have to, so that's kind of what they've done there, but, yeah, so the fund is doing okay. As far as the visiting professor program goes, as John, I don't know if you want to say anything about our meeting.
Oh, yeah.
The other day.
Yeah, we met with Dr. Jones and Dr. Ed Conrad.
Conrad.
What day was that? Was that this week, Monday?
Monday.
Monday. met him for the first time. My first impressions is I think he seems like a great professor. Very, I guess, excited about teaching. He has a lot of good ideas, I think. Seem to, and so, I think, you know, he said his first impressions that the University of Guam students he's seen so far are good. I mean, are above what he's.
Yeah, his comment was that they were a cut above
above.
students he had in Akron, Ohio, so, I'm not sure what university he was with. He seemed to think, you know, I think the biggest thing that he noticed was that the students here are much more motivated than the students there.
Yes.
He seemed to feel that way.
And he's
teaching 3 classes.
But his experience, he's taught at both different spectrums of universities. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He taught at universities in the inner city.
Right.
And also,
And he taught at the Wharton School.
The Wharton School, yes, so.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, so I think he'll be good. He seemed positive. He's here for 2 semesters.
Got a good attitude.
3 classes this semester, 4 next semester. He did agree to provide CPE 8 hours each semester.
Each semester, so we should wind up having 2 days of free CPE offered to the public before the year's out.
Yeah, I think the first one this semester will be April. I think it's talking about like after the tax deadline.
Yeah,
So,
end of April, last part of April, first part of May. Maybe.
So we just need to come up with topics.
Yeah.
He doesn't teach government.
Yeah.
So I told him anything accounting and auditing updates would be great. But
yeah, we did tell him that Jonathan comes and does the tax, so we don't really need to.
What was his attitude as far as encouraging his students to become CPAs? Is that something that he's gonna push?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, he's definitely focused and tuned in on making.
Yeah, he's gonna try and
CPAs.
sell the profession.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What are the courses he's teaching?
Not sure, he mentioned it, but I don't recall.
It sounded like he's teaching fundamentals he's teaching cost this semester plus some.
Cost accounting and the fundamentals class.
Fundamentals
and
class,
then
I'm not sure which
something to do with financing or something.
Some overall business, but next semester he'll be teaching intermediate, I think cost again.
Oh, one of the courses, is it cost he's teaching for the MAC program?
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing, he's teaching
He was
Mac.
teaching one course for the MAC program and then 2 undergrad courses.
This semester.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna continue another course for the MAC program. Said something about one of his courses it must be kind of like a capstone, it involves cases, maybe that's the MAC course, I'm not sure.
Probably the MAC program.
But, yeah, he was happy to be teaching in our MAC program too, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's staying,
He,
Efficiency Hotel,
well,
what is that?
the deal we made was that, you know, we would provide a housing allowance, and stay in a, car
Instead of
allowance.
choosing an
but,
actual place
Yeah,
for him to
instead of worrying about all the
Yeah.
details, let him find what he wants and, you know.
Then he
Yeah.
gave you a name of a place you've never heard of.
It's in Tamuning.
A Tamuning efficiency apartment.
It's like an account.
Take your
That's
pick.
where an accountant would
Well,
say.
yeah. Well, when he mentioned about doing the CPE course, he mentioned about charging some kind of fee, at least so the university could recoup some funds, you know, for the support their resources for the kids. And I said, we have to remember that you're gonna be teaching to a bunch of CPAs. They're not known for their generosity, so.
Plus, I think historically, the society, we've been sort of
Yeah,
touting that we're bringing somebody in
Yeah.
to teach
Yeah.
free CPE,
yeah.
if we
Well,
charge a nominal fee, it's
Yeah.
still $25.
yeah, well, we said that the university could, I mean, it's okay if they charge a resource fee, just like a hotel or something.
Is he teaching the MAC courses in person or are those online?
I don't know.
I think-
They were supposed, as far as I was under the impression that it's all online.
Yeah,
But he did say that he worked with the students because, they all said a lot of them were working, so it's a night course. So
Yeah.
I presume it's all online.
his undergraduate classes are all in person.
Yeah.
But I believe the MAC program is Has to be
It's
online,
online, yeah.
yeah, that's the format for the.
That's what I understood, yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how they're advertising it. I don't think they're,
Yeah.
students sign up and it says online and then.
Yeah. I
Forced to
think
come
they
in.
have, I think Dr. Jones said they have 8, students in this cohort.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is to be expected. The first one started with 22 or something like that.
you know what, we didn't have a chance to take them out for lunch. I mean, it was Super Bowl. We
Yeah.
made a mistake, you know. I looked at my calendar, we have a
Oh.
meeting with Dr. Conrad, 11 AM on Super Bowl Monday, and I said, oh, well, what's going on
Kind
here?
of
So,
telling for all of us of how dedicated we are to watching sports.
yeah, I didn't put it in the calendar, and I said, oh, I was thinking in my head, okay, I gotta leave and catch the last quarter. And it was worth it,
It's worth it.
got the overtime.
Yeah.
So, but I think we should probably take him out for lunch or dinner or
We
whatever
could, we could.
we did with Ray
Is he
Johnson.
just by himself?
Yeah,
Yeah,
by
he's
himself.
by himself, yeah.
So he can meet the board or the board can meet him, he can
Yeah, but
see our
he,
investment.
he did say that he enjoys Guam, and he said
Yeah.
the transition, even though he came on a very short notice, the transition has been as problem-free as it could be. And, you know, everybody's been very helpful, so he's happy with that. He's kind of, happy with the environment and the people and stuff, so.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the responses from the students, because I know when the Johnsons were here, we got very
Yeah.
favorable feedback from the
Yeah.
students immediately,
Yeah.
and so I'm hoping to hear
They
the
were
same thing.
Really happy to have somebody teaching it in person. Yeah. But, yeah, he seems, very hyped and up for doing a good job. I think he's happy with the kids he's teaching, because they're interested and they're motivated. Yeah,
Dave, you're leaving when, March?
March 12th.
March 12th, so we got some,
Yeah.
maybe we can, maybe
We could
before
do
you leave.
yeah, we got another month.
Yeah.
We could do dinner or lunch or whatever, I don't know. Whatever anybody's most,
Mhm.
convenient,
Okay,
whatever's most convenient. It'd be good for him to meet everybody.
okay, good, I'll plan that. Thanks,
I'm off island for the last week in February, from the 22nd till March 1st, in case you want me to join.
Yeah, everybody should
Yes.
join, so, yeah, well, Arlene can send around an email.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be out next week.
Do we prefer lunch or dinner?
I think dinner might be better.
Easier, yeah,
Dinner's easier.
yeah.
Lunch is always
don't have to
rushed.
Worry about
Yeah.
rushing, yeah. Yeah, that's true, might be
Because
easier
we're gonna
for
get
him
to the
too.
bottom where he's staying,
Yeah.
so we need more time.
I gotta understand where this efficiency apartment is.
Yeah. Well, and Tamuning covers a lot of efficiencies.
Is that an actual
He
name?
did remark that somebody told him that, when he told him that he was staying in Tamuning, they told him, you're at the university, you should be staying over at the university where you're like 1 minute away from the office. And we made the point that, well, if you're staying over by the university, you're close to work, but nothing else. Everything else is in Tamuning that you're close to already, so.
Yeah,
But anyway, it's his own arrangement, and he
Yeah.
can certainly move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was happy. He said he signed a 6-month lease, and he figured within 6 months, he'll figure out where he really wants to be. And, then he can, find a place if he wants to move, but he's happy where he is right now.
And he did all this on his own.
Yeah, he did it on his own. Yeah, Sean, from the endowment fund, called me, a week or so before he arrived and asked me, about contacts. So I gave him some contacts of real estate people and, the car people and stuff. So she talked to them and hooked him up and he found a place. And, he said he's happy where he is right now. So,
yeah, I think we once Don
Contract is
Donkey.
just for one semester?
No, he's here for the whole year. Spring
The whole
and
year,
fall.
okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
It looks like early March is, we'll probably schedule something.
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier. Okay, move on to the next item, Dave, which will be the applications.
Yes. I think we're 54, something like that.
Wow, 52.
I didn't see any Guam applications.
No, nobody from Guam this
Nobody?
time, 60 total,
That sounds.
yeah. No, not from Guam. But from everywhere else in the world. UK, India, Lebanon, Palestine, UAE, Florida, Japan. Saudi Arabia,
Japan.
Maryland, yeah, a lot, no, we have a good bit from Japan towards the back too. Pennsylvania, New York, Taiwan. A lot from India, Illinois, somebody from Illinois. Most all, they're most all foreign candidates, New Jersey.
There's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of the Japan are the initial certificates. Those are all from the Abatus. If you see the California State East Bay, those are all Abatus candidates. Which they all push them all to come to Guam for licensing. That way they don't have to worry about social security numbers and things like that. Washington, Texas, people are spread out everywhere nowadays. But yeah, no issues with these. There's 60 new licensees.
We welcome them.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's one person that was number 31, Satos. He has a existing license which was inactive, and he's finished his experience. He's moving to active non-test.
Okay, looks like everything is for approval.
Things in order.
May I hear a motion to approve?
Move
So
to
moved.
approve.
Second,
Okay, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
All right, moving on.
Next thing we
Yes.
have is, I don't have anything in here for it, but the next item, for discussion under new business was pre-education completion, the period extension. When we established the program, several years ago, I'm not gonna say how many, because then they'll show we're aging, but. We kept the same 18-month period, you could sit, you had 18 months to pass the exam from the first time you sat, right? So we said, okay, we will allow you to sit, before you complete your education, you still have the same 18 months to complete your education and pass the exam, right? With all of the stuff going on with the new exam, of course, we all have pretty much adopted the policy of going with the 30-month.
30-month, yes.
But we hadn't discussed extending the pre-education completion. So I received a couple of emails questioning, whether we're going to lengthen the pre-education completion period to be equal with the same 30 months. And
So in other words, they have 30 months from the time they
first
sit to
Yeah.
complete the education.
yeah.
Not from passing, but from sitting.
Right,
From sitting.
right, from sitting. So from the very first time you sit, as
Yeah.
it stands, as it previously was, from the very first time you sit, you have
18
18 months to pass the exam and complete your education. And complete your education, meaning the 150 hours that you need for
And the
licensure.
thinking that this needs to be tied to the 30-month, what's the logic?
Well, the logic is just to make it the same as the exam period, because when we go to the 30-month thing, then we're saying that you've got 30 months to complete your exam. Previously, if you got a credit from the first time you sat, you didn't pass, 18 months later, it
The credit
expires,
lapse,
right?
yeah.
So now what we're saying is that credit's gonna go for 30 months, which is what, 2.5 years?
And that's permanent, that's not just for the period of the transitioning to a new exam.
Right, well, at this point, yes.
Just, I think just transition right now
It's,
at this point.
it's more of a transition issue, but the reasoning for it is because of the new exam, and the fact that, the score holds are so long
Right.
in order to,
But once we're
So-
squarely in the new exam where there's no
yeah,
score hold delays or whatever,
right, I would
what
think
will
that,
happen then?
yeah, by the time we get to, say, 2026, then we could reevaluate. But in the meantime, anybody who's, going through the program, I guess what they're asking is, can we equate the time we have to finish our education to the time we have to complete the exam? So, and I don't know if it makes sense or not, but,
Where do you have to be in terms of credit to actually sit for the exam, even though you haven't completed your 150? I mean, where do you have to be? Or is there
you can be
no?
wherever you want to be. The only
Yeah.
prerequisite is that you complete, an application. And that application includes proof that you're enrolled in a program, an institutional program of higher learning that will enable you to complete your education within this period of time.
Okay, so you could be anywhere.
You could be a
uh,
sophomore.
You could be a sophomore, or you could be a senior and have
Yeah.
one class, or a
Yeah.
sophomore and have 2 years, but,
I see.
it's, you know. I mean, but typically it'd be a junior level and,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
There's-
The only, hard evidence I have, I guess, empirical evidence of the fact that some people have been requesting extensions, and I'm not sure if it was COVID related or not, but they're all foreign candidates, but there have been a couple that came back and said, I need an extension because I took my course, I completed all of my class time, I took my exam, but my university has not released my grade, and they won't release it for like 6 months or something like that. And I don't know, we don't have any reason exactly why. These are foreign, universities. I think one was in India and one was, somewhere else, in the Middle East or somewhere. But the issue was, I did everything, but I don't have the grade, so I can't prove that I passed the course till I get the grade, and, it's just waiting, so. But it was totally beyond the student's control, so I don't know why the university was having whatever. So I'm thinking, well, maybe the best thing to do at this point is, so that we avoid any issues, is just to go with the 30 months. For the transition time, that way we don't have to worry about.
Because right now there's a bit of a conflict, right? I mean,
Right.
If they don't
Yeah.
complete within,
18 months, then they lose
they
their grades.
lose.
Yeah,
So the 30 doesn't give them any, doesn't benefit them.
no,
Yeah,
yeah. So, if we extend the pre-education program to the 30 months
Yeah.
equivalent to what it is for the exam, then they'd be fine.
and the timelines are consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it just makes it a whole lot easier to deal with logistically.
Yeah.
And not have to deal with requests, for extensions. And so far, the program, the people that get in, and, have completed their stuff, and, the one other issue we had was somebody who had completed their education, but it was with a foreign institution, they needed the evaluation, and they were having a problem getting the evaluation timely. As you go to apply for an evaluation, sometimes it could take you a month, sometimes it could take you 2 or 3 months, depending on if your university is responding or not.
Yeah,
And that was some of the issues, so. I'm okay with the 30-month thing, equivalent to the same amount of time we allow for the exam. And that's why I'm asking.
that's pretty much what the other jurisdictions are doing.
All of them have agreed at this point, with the
Yeah.
exception of maybe 3 that are, kind of out there, but, everybody else has agreed to the
They're
30
doing 30
months.
months to complete the exam. I mean, what we're also doing is giving 30 months for
To meet
candidates
education
to meet the
requirement,
education
To- to-
requirement.
which is
Yeah.
what, the 150 or the
Right,
one-
no, the 150,
Yeah,
yeah, 150.
so.
Now, the other jurisdictions, they'll let you sit for the exam at 120. They don't care if you ever complete your education or not. You have to have 150 to get licensed.
Yeah.
But they don't have any way of tracking whoever sits for the exam at 120 and then never shows up after that or anything. With us, if you want to sit before you get the 150, you have to be enrolled in the pre-completion program. And that way we know
Do
who's.
we need to vote on this, or is this,
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
so.
I mean, are there any concerns with this?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hypothetically, if I talk to EOG students, juniors, and I say, you know, if you want, you can take the exam now, then you'll have 30 months from the day you take it.
Yeah, to finish
To
everything.
to get the 150. So
Yeah.
they're in a 4-year program. They
You could start in,
can take the MAC later.
halfway through
Yeah.
your junior
Junior
year.
year.
Yes.
Yeah. Just gives them a little bit of a leg up for being able to take the course, an auditing course or
Yeah.
whatever. do
Well,
their
yeah, or
study
even
and
take
then
their
the
time to
exam.
find the
Yeah.
additional 30
Right,
for those
Yeah.
that just have already graduated.
yeah,
Who need a little more
That
time, so
too.
we have a bunch of those
Yeah.
too.
that too.
Yeah.
But do you have to demonstrate that you're enrolled in a program
No.
at the time, or you do?
Yeah,
Well, if you're a
Yeah.
student, you're already enrolled.
you basically just fill out your form, you fill out an application that says, I wanna participate in the education pre-completion program. You give it basic information and then you submit evidence of the fact that you're enrolled in some. Course or whatever.
So those that graduated already and are
Yeah.
currently working and want to do
Yeah.
that and take some classes at the university, they
Yeah.
can somehow do
So
that.
what
They
are they,
said
so
what they
what would
have-
those people be demonstrating then?
They'd have to show that they're admitted to the university to continue taking courses or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta push people now to take the exam.
Basically, you just have to show that you're enrolled in something that will.
But if they
enable
have
you to
30
complete.
months to do that.
Yeah.
But they wanna sit now without taking any courses. Because 30 is so long that they could probably get that in the last,
Yeah, they can.
while they're sitting.
They could, but they still have to apply for the program.
Yeah.
Oh, to show that they have the capability of being in the program.
Right.
Okay, but not necessarily be already taking anything.
No, they don't have to actually be taking the class.
just-
They
just
have to
admitted.
Show that they're admitted.
Oh,
So-
okay,
so
that's
the-
not too bad, that's not.
But the
too bad.
risk is, let's say they pass the exam and if they don't finish they get the education within 30 months,
They lose their grade.
they lose their.
They're not gonna
We
let that
don't
happen,
know.
they're not gonna let that happen.
Well,
If,
that's the
if they
point.
can pass the exam, if
Yeah.
they can pass the exam, they will come hell or high water, they're gonna do it, but
That's the
I just
point.
wondering, like, you know how we have a tendency to put things off, now we have
Yeah.
longer period.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
So what are they proving
Yeah.
when they're trying to qualify to take the exam, just the fact that they could be admitted to
right,
EOG,
right.
which should be easy.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
that's not a difficult thing to do,
They would just have to show that they're admitted, so.
but 30 minutes is
Yeah.
pretty handy though, yeah, that would give them a lot more
It-
time.
Yeah, it
To see
does
how they
give
wanna
them
do
more
it.
time, like you were saying, they could start in towards the middle or end of their junior year. If they plan on taking the MAC program to get
Yeah.
the 150 by the time they're done, with the MAC
Do
program.
they have to demonstrate that they're in a program that'll eventually give them 150, or can they just be in a bachelor's at that point?
They just have to demonstrate that they're enrolled in a program that will allow them to fulfill the education, which means get a total of 150 hours one way or another. If they already have a bachelor's and they enroll, then, I mean, it doesn't have to
Well, what if
be,
they're just in an undergraduate program, they're in their,
that's fine.
yeah,
Because they could get them all as undergraduate hours, also, and take other stuff, extra.
so basically if you're enrolled, you're
Yeah,
good.
You're
it's
good.
almost like a demonstration intention, it
Yeah.
doesn't, we're not really checking.
No, we're just trying to make sure you're serious about what you're doing and you realize that if you don't complete your education, you're not gonna get your grades. So you cannot enroll in the program, pass the exam, and go off and say, hey, here's my grades. Cause we're not gonna give you your grades. We're
Yeah,
not gonna officially give you your grades until you show us you completed your education.
and at some point they have to demonstrate that they've taken certain accounting courses.
Oh, absolutely,
Right,
yeah.
That's what that's in the
It-
licensure though.
It includes, the education requirement includes taking the business and accounting courses.
Right,
Yeah,
so
so
before they're licensed, so they need
the whole
to,
thing is evaluated.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
for you to prove that you've fulfilled our education requirements.
Yeah,
You have to show that you've taken the accounting requirements, the business requirements, and a total of 150 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But there's no actual course requirement to sit. Basically, they could be a
Not for
non-accountant
the
and be able
additional,
to sit for the
not
exam.
for the additional 30 hours, but they still have to take the business and the
Oh,
accounting,
okay, so there is some requirement for just to
Yeah.
be able to sit,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
not for the 150, but just generally that they have to have certain accounting type
Right.
classes.
Yeah, we
So
require.
you can't have somebody who's not even an accounting
No, we.
major, who probably doesn't have those
Yeah,
classes.
You could have majored in anything, but you still have to show that you fulfilled the 24 hours of accounting and the 24 hours of business.
24, okay,
And then
but
the
that's a
total,
different
yeah,
requirement.
and then
Before
the
to
total,
sit.
Before sitting?
Yeah, to sit, so we have that,
No,
that piece
Not,
of
not
it.
to sit.
not before sitting, but in order to finish the program and
Yeah.
get your grades.
Okay,
The condition is that if you sign up for the pre-education
I get
completion
it.
program,
yeah,
you're saying, I wanna take the exam.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna finish my education, which
Right.
means I'm going to fulfill your requirements.
yeah,
And our requirements are the 24 and total 150.
yeah.
So if you don't do the 24 and total
So your grades
150,
aren't
you don't
released.
get any grades.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, the students that are sophomores and juniors, they won't have met the requirements. That's why,
No.
that's the purpose of having this pre-qualification or what do we
Right,
call it?
yeah,
Now, instead of 18 months, it's 30 months. So
yeah,
what I'll be telling, I think, if I understand this correctly, those that already graduated and only have 124, 126,
yeah.
I'll basically be telling them, you now have 30 months to complete 8
Take-
classes.
Take the exam.
About 8 classes,
complete
3
your
credits each, right?
classes, Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah, yeah.
it's 24, so
But there's not a lot of you, you're trying to take the exam, is there?
not a lot.
You'd be
That's pretty
surprised.
brave. I
There's a few that know they wanna be CPAs and they take an auditing course and they sign up to take the auditing.
Okay,
exam.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Or
that-
they would not have
and
met the
that's-
24.
No,
Yeah,
but that's the real reason for doing it is so that they can coordinate their education with taking the exam so that they don't have to wait. After the exam, after they graduate and then take the exam, which means they've forgotten half the stuff they learned already.
I think there's a student right now that has taken, or that has passed 2 sections already.
Yeah, there is.
it's still going.
Yeah.
There's a couple that have already started taking the exam, and they're still in class.
Mm.
Okay.
So,
Okay, understood. So everything is about creating the flexibility to be able to do all of these things we just talked about, that all of these different scenarios, so they could be a student, they could have graduated
right,
and
yeah.
then working, but then
yeah.
trying to string
Yeah.
along the additional 30.
Yeah. The reason a lot of our foreign candidates don't have an issue with the 150 hours is it's a second career for most of them. And they've already got some kind of degree with a bunch of hours. and
But they
just-
may not have the 24.
Right, so they do, by the time they get the accounting and business, they got more than 150 hours anyway, so.
Dave, would courses at GCC qualify?
No, it has to be upper division.
All upper
courses.
division,
Yeah,
okay,
upper division courses.
for this additional.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
This is the 24, the additional 30.
all of the classes that count for education. The accounting and the business has to be upper division.
The 24,
classes.
24,
Yeah,
okay. Got it.
Just tell the students or the candidates to take courses at UOG.
Yeah,
Okay,
Like a
yeah,
summer course.
they could take the first 2 years at GCC and transfer to UOG and that would count, but, you couldn't have a bachelor's degree and go take a GCC course, and, well, I guess you couldn't.
Take accounting,
Yeah.
fundamentals of accounting all over again. I don't know.
just keep taking the same.
people might need
Accounting,
to.
doesn't keep counting it.
You know, that's a
40
loophole.
Me?
I
Yeah,
got,
I'm
I
just
got
trying to,
25 hours
I
of accounting.
felt like that, John, I think that's what you're saying, I'll just keep
I'm
taking
just
that
trying
class
to
over and over
trying to
again.
understand, what students are probably
Five
thinking.
times.
If there's no restriction on what you can take, can you take the same course over and over again? Easier. Now, of course, we would see
Yeah,
that right away and say,
yeah,
you just wasted your time. We're
yeah,
not gonna approve this.
Yeah,
It's still subject to,
approval
Approval.
of the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, anyway, that's something I
Okay.
want, because I'm in the process of rewriting the rules now, I wanted to be able to address that. I think it's a good idea that we do it. and just keep it uniform at this point.
Yeah, especially since you're getting inquiries about
Yeah,
it, so.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So we'll proceed with that. So
We can
Dave,
go down to the candidate care thing. That's, over here, the little candidate care schedule. We can see that, for the last window or the last quarter of 2023, which is our first quarter of FY 24. The biggest, over half the issues were candidate error, which consists of failing to bring your notice to schedule to the test center, providing the incorrect notice to schedule. Having an incorrect name on the notice to schedule, not match your identification, submitting prematurely and timing out on the introductory screen. None of those issues are new whatsoever. If you flip over to the next page, they said that the tangible items for the quarter were testing in the latter part of November, and December. They experienced that the survey was not available to them at the end of the exam. That's a survey that asks questions about, your gender, and how do you feel about the exam, stuff like that. AICPA confirmed it didn't impact the scoring at all, and they deployed a fix. And testing for BEC ended December 15th, so there was no more BEC. So there were a few people that got into the emergency window, but not very many. They were very specific about what had to be the problem for you to actually get into that emergency testing window. So,
Any initial feedback on the new, format?
yeah,
Still early,
still waiting
yeah.
to go, so. We move on to the next item, and it's the performance for 2023 Q4. As usual for Guam, our pass rate was 38%. And our average score was 67, which is down a little bit. But we're still, in the jurisdiction ranking, we're still number 4 for candidates and number 5 for sections. We moved up 1 for candidates. And our section performance, usually the first time, the re-exam is twice the first time. This time the re-exam was, 3 times, almost, a little more than 3 times. And that's because of all the people trying to, retake the sections they failed before the new exam came out. So that kind of pushed it up to the 2,600 sections there. But if you look down below between sections and candidates, you can see that on the Q4 2023 far outweighed the prior years. Like 100% increase at least. But you can notice that our pass rate dropped, and that's just because of all the people that jammed in the chance to pass BEC or whatever before it went away. If you look on the next page where it talks about advanced degrees and enrolled in other is our 42% of those candidates were enrolled in the pre-education completion program. And only 9% of our candidates have an advanced degree. But 93% of them have a foreign address, right?
so Dave, does that mean, so in the last quarter, 10 were from Guam? Or it says in-state address?
That's the only thing I can think of, yes,
Okay.
but sometimes I kind of wonder about the numbers they come up with in
Okay.
this thing, but that's the way I would read it.
There were
yes,
10
yeah.
Guam people, or
Yeah,
so to speak. that were-
10 had a Guam address, 168 had a US address,
Okay,
and the other ones were foreign address, meaning out of the USA.
okay, well, that's a decent number.
And I
if you
know they
think about
use
it,
country
3 months,
codes
10.
to figure that out. Yeah, actually, was pretty good. And then if you turn over to the overall, you can see that the pass rate there was also down from 51 to 42%. Ours was down from 47 to 38. So we're basically the same 4.4 percentage points behind the national in that regard. And their average score was, overall was 69 and ours was 67, so I don't think it's, we're that bad off. Especially when you consider that, overall, they had 21% of the candidates had advanced degrees and only 9% of ours did. And they have 20% enrolled in others, and we have 42%. And they only have 17% or 18% foreign, where ours is 93, so only 18%, essentially 18% of their candidates, maybe a few more than that, are English as a second language. So in that sense,
I'm sorry, Dave, could you transfer me to my phone? I need to leave my office. So I'm trying to join by phone. Someone needs to let me in.
okay,
Sorry.
yes,
Thank you.
Jessica's let you in, yeah, okay. But given that, you know, they have, more than double the advanced degrees, et cetera, and our average score is only 2 points lower than the national average score, so I don't think we're really doing that bad. And from a percent passing standpoint, we stayed within the same margin. The 4-point margin, they went 51 to 42, we went 47 to 38, so, you know, same 4 points difference, so. I don't think we were any worse off.
So Guam accounts for about 2,500 out of about 10,000 foreign
Yep,
candidates. So
right,
about a
yeah, at least a
25% market
quarter,
share.
at least a fourth, yeah.
Yeah,
And the international market now is Japan, Korea, all of it, but also includes Germany, the UK, Brazil, in the Middle East. So out of all of that, we're still accounting, candidate wise, we're accounting for 25% of the total foreign
Yeah.
candidates. So you're right, yeah, we've got a fourth of the foreign market. Anyway, the only jurisdictions ahead of us are California, New York, and Texas. And usually Illinois comes out a little ahead of us, but we came out a couple of hundred candidates ahead of them this time, so. So we're holding our own, even though all of the, you know, exam taking that went on, trying to get in before the new exam, started. We're still holding our own. And, I think our candidates do just as well as any of the national candidates, anywhere else in any other jurisdiction. So, unless there's no questions on that, then we can move on to the announcement here I have is, I just wanted to put this in for the record is that, the NASBA and AICPA approved revisions to the CPE standards. NASBA approved it a couple of months ago. AICPA just approved it this past month, after our last meeting. But the major revisions, involve, basically options for virtual learning is the most significant change. They wanted to, be more specific about how you handle the virtual group live delivery methods and standards for you know, determining actual attendance and things like that. And then the only other thing they did was clarified understanding, awarding credit in appropriate increments, like what do they call them, the micro courses or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, so those kind of things. And then they communicating and documenting the attendance monitoring mechanisms. And then they just updated the fields of study to be a little more current relative to the topics they covered. They keep kind of splitting it up and adding to it based on the things that are coming out of the universities nowadays, I think. So, but, I just wanted to put this in for the record. I don't think any of us have any issues with CPD, so.
So, but Dave, I have a question, you know, in our NASBA, CPE, that program that updates our CPEs.
Mhm.
If I have a 0.5 hour, it shows a zero.
Only if you submit the 0.5 hour as the first, credit for, or just a single credit by itself. And that's some issue
okay.
they're making them. Typically, if you want a half an hour of credit, you have to have had an hour of credit in order to get a
Okay, I
half
see.
hour of
Okay.
credit, so.
Okay,
That's why they were saying they needed to clarify some of the things, cause like the,
so have like a,
what do they call it, micro alert, whatever.
Okay.
So
so I gotta remember if
what they
if
call
I
it.
take a session that's only half hour, don't bother putting it in.
Well,
If it's just by itself, yeah.
no, you can do it, and I think that's part of what they're trying to think, and also NASBA had to kind of fix some things.
Yeah,
with that.
okay.
They've been doing some upgrading of their system, so I'll verify that, but previously, to get a half hour of credit, you had to have taken an hour of credit in a course, and so like if you wanted an hour and a half,
But how do you associate that? I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. So like EY, we have these government courses. It's all online and it's taught by
Yeah.
different instructors and
Right.
one's a half hour session and you move on to another one, an hour. And the way EY does it, we have separate CPE certificates.
Already?
For those
Oh,
different,
okay, yeah.
not one certificate that says this is all, we're issued
It's not all
a
part
half
of one
hour, an
program.
hour, you know, but it's all taken in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but when I put in some, I think why is it zero?
And, I don't know, I think the easiest way to handle that at this point, unless NASBA fixed it, I haven't checked recently, but,
Okay.
I would just aggregate. the whole
Aggregate it
thing.
and put it as one and then
Put it in,
attach
yeah,
all
you could
into
put
one
in like,
PDF.
You know, 3.5
Okay.
hours, not a problem.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's what I've been told to do in the past, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had a lot of zeros.
Yeah, we had a number of people asking about that.
Okay. Well, I have enough CPE, it's just that
Yeah,
a lot of effort being put into uploading and.
Yeah, well, it's like anything, I mean, it's supposed to be advantageous because we can just upload it when when we finish the course, then we don't have to worry about finding it later to do it.
Yeah.
But the problem is most of us procrastinate as usual. And you're still looking for it at the end of the year. Just scan and upload everything in one time, right? Yeah, me too. Yeah.
All right, okay, good.
Yeah. But, I know they've been working on enhancing the program. They may have fixed that by now. Okay, the last thing I have is the financial statement. If I annualize the revenues here, 208 for the first 4 months, so, multiplied by 3, then we're at 624, so. I don't see any issue with meeting our approved revenue budget, that we budgeted, although the categories might, change a little bit. We did, come up with $12,000 in the computer test center fees for December. That's the result of all of the people that came to the test center to stuff in the exams, take BEC before it went away. And most of those, I'm betting were Korean, Taiwanese, people that couldn't get into the test center in Japan or Korea, that kind of thing. And of course, we didn't budget much in terms of the test center revenues because we absolutely have no idea how many people are ever gonna show up. Due to the fact that the flights are still an issue, there's no scheduled service to Taiwan. It's all charter flights, the Chinese flights are still, hit and miss also. But otherwise, everything's pretty well on track. I think we're fine, in a revenue sense, and we've picked up 17,000 penalties, miscellaneous and interest, and for the record, most of that is penalties, people paying late, typically. A little bit of it is for, score transfer things, stuff like that, but most of it's penalties. And expense wise, we're fine. We're basically on track with everything. I don't see any real issues with expenses at this point. So we're showing a 75,000 excess, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna probably wind up with, I'm thinking somewhere between 100 and 120, maybe in total excess revenues, maybe more. Depending on how the rest of the exam year goes, and I have no idea from the exam application fees because it's the new exam, but, in December, we picked up, 18,000, for application fees. So that's encouraging, but, what's gonna be more telling is when I get the first 3 months of this year, January, February, March. Because in the people applying in December are gonna sit for that exam in January or February. And then they're gonna wait 4 months to get a schedule, to get a score. And they won't, if they're trying to pass that section, they won't register for it again until they get that score. So 4 months is gonna pass before they take that section again. Or previously, they could take it again in 3 weeks, so that's gonna be the issue. They may sign up to take other sections, which we just really don't know how that's gonna work. So it's kind of a hit and miss until I get the January, at least January and February numbers, so I have a little bit better idea. And because of the change from last September, which we mentioned, and I explained at the bottom of the graph here, because of the fact that now, as a first-time candidate, you're essentially paying a fee to be evaluated to sit for the exam. Okay, so that's the fee you pay as a first-time candidate. And then the section fee, you just pay a fee for each section. So as of when I get numbers for January and February, I'll be able to tell how many people actually applied as new candidates, first-time candidates, and how many sections were actually signed up for. And I have a little bit better idea of how that's gonna flow, over the rest of the year. But it's gonna take another 2 to 3 months to get enough numbers to actually know what's gonna happen. But at this point, we look to be okay considering that we did reduce our budget to the 120, so I'm pretty sure we'll hit that at least. I don't have a problem thinking we'll hit that. This is estimated, I've got 12,000 estimated in the 76. So even though we did like 20,000 and then 27,000 and then 18,000 in December, I dropped the January estimate down to 12,000 just based on the fact that that's what we did a year ago, January, February averages.
Is the delay scoring only for BEC or everything?
All of it, and that's the real issue, because the entire exam structure is different. So, they got rid of certain things, and then they added some multiple choice questions, and then they added simulations. And the bigger issues, like the things like the simulations, they have to have, and they have to get enough people to take the sections to get enough data before I'm not sure how much data they have to have. They have to have a certain amount of data before they can, effectively analyze it and say it's valid or not. And all of that's gonna depend on how many people sign up for which section, and how fast. So, if a lot of people sign up in the first quarter and take a lot of all the different sections, then, it could happen faster, but, the estimate is it's gonna be 4 months.
When was the turnaround time, with the prior?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
You take the exam on January 1st, you have your score by the 20th, sometimes sooner.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you're going from 3 weeks to 4 months, so I'm figuring that pushes out a full quarter of revenue almost.
Hopefully they'll actually be able to do it sooner. We're just trying to
I hope so. I mean, yeah,
We'll see.
you know.
Does a candidate wait for their score to come in before they sign up for another section or?
Well, and that's the issue. They could sign up for a different section.
Yeah,
But they
Yeah.
can't take the section they just took
Yeah.
until they get the score.
but do they typically wait to see how they did on the one they sat for
It
before
depends,
they?
it's
can't-
all over
you
the
know?
place.
Yeah, some people wanna do one
There's no
section,
pattern,
Yeah.
there's no discernible pattern
Yeah.
over time,
Yeah.
it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, there's just no way to tell, unfortunately, but I'm thinking that overall we'll be okay, at least to the point where we can contribute at least 100,000 to the endowment fund to cover this year's expenses, so, you know, keep everything even, and hopefully we'll do better. But that's where we stand right now. So,
Okay, it was good. Okay,
the only other thing I have to say is that, anybody who wants to go to the, regional meeting, let me know, I can request scholarship.
can you go ahead and request a scholarship for me, but I'm
Okay, a
I'm
Western.
lost Western, yeah, but I'm not sure I can go.
Well,
We'll
okay.
see.
Well, you know, it's okay.
Just request just in
Yeah.
case I'm able to go.
We can get it approved and then it's up to you, but, if you wanna go, Sean, or anybody who wants to
Well,
go.
hold on, until the annual.
It's, yeah, the Western Regional is in, beautiful Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha.
I was thinking about the Eastern, but, the Eastern region is the first week of June. The Western region is the third or fourth week of June, towards the end of June,
Yeah,
last
week of June. I
last
think,
week of June. So I was thinking that, well, if I'm still in the States, you know, towards the middle of May, then might as well stay and do the Eastern region, be done, but, my boss told me that, we're leaving, you know, we're not gonna stay for the meeting, so you can go back later for the Western region. She just wants to come home.
I say you're gone.
It's
a
too long.
time.
2 months, and you know, after 5 months last year, she's like 2 months this year.
Oh, that's long, okay,
Yeah, so,
all right.
yeah, so I'll come back, and then I'll go to the Western region meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, the annual meeting is going to be the, last few days of October, but it's before Halloween this time. So, okay.
okay, so, any other items? If none, can I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Oh, I move.
Move.
Adjourn.
Okay, second, okay, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis, thank you, Tali.